We're going to get started on doing the adding of uh, fields. And so before we get started on that, I just want to review where we are. This is report 31221. I've saved it to the 13.4 menu so we could work on it because you can't do anything in one of the standard Sage reports and save it. You have to save it as something else. And so I'm saving it as report writers group and then the location that it originally was and then the name and -3A. I'll get to the 3A type stuff in a little bit as to why, but now let's just keep going. Now we added the grouping, group 1, 2, and 3, and those were job, phase, and invoice date. So now we're going to go ahead and add some fields as the next step in this process of learning how to write reports. So remember job, phase, and invoice date, group 1, group 2, group 3. So job, job. These are just typing in text statements. Phase. Oop, there we go. And invoice date. Now I'm going to group, I'm going to hold the control key down and capture these three because I want to do a couple things. One is I want to make them all bold, all left, no, actually all right. And I'll tell you why. Okay, so they're all right adjusted. And that's because this first item, record number, is right adjusted. And I want them to match into that column structure. And so now I'll click on, I'm going to hold the control key down and click on the one that I want them to right adjust and match to. And so now I'm going to do the left click, scroll down, align right. And now they all line up, as you can see, with this column. Let me go through that again real quickly. Click on click on one and then hold the control key down and click on the other ones that you want. Then right click the mouse, properties. You can do bold, bold, and I did align right. So all of them went right and I clicked OK. Then I'm going to hold the control key down again and right click on the field I want them to right click, that I want them to right adjust and match. And then I did align right. And that got them to align together. So that's done. Now let's add in the fields, the actual fields, not just the field labels. So we're going to go up here to insert fields and job. Now I actually do want the job with the job name all in one, so I don't have to add job and then a separate one as job name. Phase, this is a little trickier. I'll explain why in a little while. We're going to go with phase. That's just phase number. And invoice date. So we're going to go up here and click on invoice date. Now these are the groupings. Now these need to all be left adjusted, even though invoice number, well, invoice number can also be left adjusted so they all line up, which is nice to make them visually pleasing, but also easy to follow. That's crucial in report writing. Now I'm going to do the arrow that sends these over to right about where I want one of them to be, right here, that much difference. I want them all to line up with this one, but I want them all also to left adjust So I'm going to go up here to the align text to the left and click that. So now they're all on the left sides. Now I'm going to hold the control key down and right click the mouse. Whoop, right click the mouse. Okay, yeah. Let's get out of there. I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and right click the mouse without the control key down. And I want them to left adjust all to this one. And you can see that they have. After I've shown my incompetence here. Okay, so those are all lined up. Let's, and those are the groupings. Those are the main things that we want to do. I'm also going to bold these three because they are headings. So let's do bold there. Okay, now let's take a quick look at what we've accomplished just in adding 6 fields, 3 text and 3 actual fields inside Sage. So we're going to go ahead and save. Okay, now's a good time. Let's tell you why I do this. Okay, in Sage, when you are doing, especially if you're doing formulas, Sage, if it doesn't like what you just did and you go to save it, sometimes it'll just entirely wipe out your whole report. Gone, totally gone. And I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. And so I've always gotten to the habit of every time I make a change, any slight change, I go to the next letter and save. And this has to match, so B and save. And so now you're going to come over here and see when I click this, we'll have saved it from 3A to 3B. Okay, now when that happens, I come up here to default, save as default report so that it'll always jump to this one. And we're going to go and test this. Now, job 201 has phases, so we'll test it with that one. I'm going to take out the dating, whoop, and then we're going to just take a look and see what we've done. Okay. Hey, that's looking pretty good. Now you see what about the lining up of things, how much easier it is to read. Some of the Sage reports that come, there's a field here and 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 here, and they're just all over the place. There's no flow to it. talk talk about making a report readable is so important. Look at the flow, and your eye has to glance at it and know exactly where to go. That's what lining up columns and bolding and doing all of that is so important. And we're not done with this yet on that part. But anyway, let's take a look. We've got job, phase, and invoice date. Now, this is phase 0. We'll have to say 0 none on there, but that doesn't come automatically. Phase 1, and with phasing, you have to do a separate formula for the name of the phase. But anyway, we've got the phase number in there. And so we've got invoice number, and look at the grouping. We've got job, phase, and invoice date. So invoice date 125. Okay, anything with 125 is in this row. Okay, invoice date 225. And then we go into the phase 1 and the invoice dates. Now whether the invoice date is a good choice doesn't matter. We're just doing this to show grouping. And this was a quick and easy way to do it. So I'm very pleased with how this turned out. Let's take a look and see if there's anything else we need. Yes, let's do a couple other quick things to make these even more readable. Okay, I'm going to put a box around job and maybe even phase. To do that though, I'm going to need to add a row above and below and make them half height. Now I know that's a 2, so we'll change that now to 1. So now there's space on the top and the bottom of this, and I'm going to go over here to draw boxes. It's going to be a long box, and I'm going to come over here to the end, to the corner, and take it all the way here to the end. You don't have to be too concerned about how exacting that is when you're drawing it, because we'll fix the details when we go into properties. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do that and one below it. Now watch, if I change that to 2 first, sometimes it won't let me minimize or make it a half. Let's see if it does. It did. Okay, so we're good. Now we'll draw another box on this one. I'm going to make it purposely shorter. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go into the white arrow. That's the select multiple objects by drawing icon. So I'm going to click that, and now I can capture lines, boxes, and sometimes just about everything. Without clicking that, you generally can't get into properties on these types of things. Right now we're going to go into properties here and come up, and now let's take a look. We've got line width. I always go with 1 for a standard line width, and I want it to be at the top on 1, on the left at 1, and what I'm talking about is the height of the top bar, the left, how far over the left starts, and the width, how far over it goes here. I happen to know that 720 is the right number for to get to about 7.5 inches. Now, height for the boxes like this, anywhere from 1920, and what that is, the height, it means how tall this is. I'm going to go with 20. And one other thing, I want some color. So I'm going to put color in there. Now, I'm going to go with the blue at the top. And now watch these things when I click OK. See? Now I think 20 is going to be a little too much, so let's go to 19. You'll see why in a minute. So 19, that gives it a little more space. Now, there's usually one job per report, so blue is okay. It's a little bit brighter, bolder, but you're going to have more of the group 2 boxes. Let's come in here and do pretty much exactly the same thing here. 1, 1. That way they all start at the same spot and end at the same spot. Now, this one also should be 19. Sometimes you can make it 18, and that way it'll be a little smaller than the one above it, and that can be good. Now this one is going to be a little more frequent, and so this is what I usually use for something that is on there more for color. I don't want it to be too boldy, so we're going to do moccasin and there. Now let's see what difference that has made. I think you'll see quite a difference. Save. Now I haven't changed any formulas, so I'm not going to change the A, B, C, D part. But if I've added a formula or changed a formula, boy, oh boy, that's for sure to do. So we'll close this. Now let's take a look at what this report looks like. We're really getting into some of the meaty things of report writing right here. Some of the things that can really make a difference in your reports. Now, I should have done this the last time, but I didn't. So I have to redo this, but I'm going now to up here to save printing defaults. Since I'm going to be doing this a lot as I test it and keep adding things to it. So why should I have to keep adding the same things in over and over again? And so going up to defaults, save printing defaults, click that, and then I almost always save as the default, even though I've already done that. So now we're going to see if there's anything else. Status. Now, you know, when you click in a field, any field, if you look down here at the bottom left, it'll tell you what it wants in that field. Um, so many people using Sage don't even know that that's there. So we don't want any voids. So we're going to say less than 5. Okay, I think we could say current balance is not 0. That way it'll keep out anything except the things that have data. But I'm not going to do that right yet. So anyway, now that I've changed the less than 5, I'm going to save this again. Now we're ready to take a quick look and see what this is doing. And you'll see a huge difference with this report. Okay, one other thing I didn't do is spacing the actual wording so that it doesn't hit the bottom of those bars. So look at this. Isn't that looking better? Okay, let's make that little fix real quick. So this one wasn't too bad. Let's take a look and see where that is. So that's at 3. I usually want them at 2. I don't want them at 1. They'll bump the top of the other thing. So 2, and then I will click on these. Anything else? And because this one's at 2 and I want them all to be there, I'm going to right click properties and align top. What that does is it brings everything up to that 2 level. Where are we here? 3. So I want that at 2. And now I'm going to make everything come up there. Even these should all be the same at whatever. That way. Okay. So now let's take another look and you'll see the difference that that makes in how these rows look. Then we'll be done with this video because that's quite a chunk I've added. So let's take a look. Better. See, now there's space. It's not bumping into the line at the bottom and it's not encroaching too high. And we haven't added the description of phase, but I'm going to save that till later. That's not what we're talking about right now. And so going to page 2, You can do it in here. It's easier to go from page to page here than scrolling. So I think that's a good end of this video. But I just want to stress how important it is to watch and make it readable, easy to flow. That's so important.